Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
President Trump is signaling a retreat from the brink of war with Iran after escalating tensions. The president addressed the nation after Iran fired more than a dozen ballistic missiles targeting at least 2 U.S. military facilities in Iraq.
Iranian television calling the strikes a revenge operation for killing the country's top general. Iran's supreme leader saying it was a slap in the face to the U.S. ABC's Rachel Scott has more from Washington.
Just hours after a counterattack by Iran, President Trump insisted the regime is backing off.
Iran appears to be standing down, which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world.
The president, who just days before warned the U.S. would strike fast and hard in response to a retaliatory attack, made no mention of a military response in his address to the nation, instead announcing tougher sanctions on the country.
The fact that we have this great military and equipment, however, does not mean we have to use it.
Iran taking revenge for the death of its top commander, Qasem Soleimani, firing roughly 24 missiles at 2 military bases in Iraq where American troops were stationed. New images capturing the chaos. The president defending his order, saying Soleimani was planning new attacks on American targets, but the White House has not released any evidence he presented an imminent threat. Behind closed doors, the president's national security team gave a classified briefing to Congress, Democrats leaving unsatisfied.
As the questions began to get tough, they walked out.
And then there was this criticism coming from a member of the president's own party.
It's probably the worst briefing I've seen, at least on a military issue, in the 9 years I've served in the United States Senate. One of the messages we received from the briefers was, do not debate, do not discuss the issue of the appropriateness of further military intervention against Iran. And that if you do, you'll be emboldening Iran.
And in the aftermath, the House is now scheduled to vote on a resolution to limit President Trump's actions against Iran. Democrats are continuing to slam the president for not notifying Congress before he decided to move forward with military action. Rachel Scott, ABC News, Washington.
Trump says get back!
We say fight back!
And the fear of a potential war is still top of mind for many San Diegans. Tonight, more protests demanding the U.S. stop getting involved in the Middle East. Our 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo is live from Balboa Park, where the group gathered tonight. Laura.
Steve, about 70 people were out here participating in the protest, all of them hoping the violence will stop. They tell me they wish the money spent on a potential war would be spent on things here at home, like education and health care.
Trump says get back!
We say fight back!
For the second time in just 5 days, members of the Answer Coalition protested against the escalating tensions in the Middle East.
To continue saying no to war, send a very clear message from the people to Donald Trump and the U.S. government. We do not want to go to war in the Middle East.
The group gathered in Balboa Park just hours after President Trump addressed the nation, backing away from more military action against Iran.
Thankfully, after the address that Trump gave this morning, it seems like he's backing down from his initial escalation.
Instead, the president said the U.S. would impose powerful sanctions on Iran.
We have to consider that sanctions also kill innocent people. Economic sanctions prevent food, medicine, and other resources from entering the country. That's something that harms the people that live in that country.
The group, just one of dozens around the country, promising to continue these protests, fighting against a potential war.
And we need to build a mass movement to say no to war, start investing that money into our community so we can be a better country.
Now the group says they will continue protesting and they have a global day of action scheduled for January 25th. Reporting live from Balboa Park, Laura Acevedo, 10 News.
Laura, thank you. Iran investigators say the crew of the Ukrainian plane that crashed was trying to turn back to the Tehran airport. The Boeing passenger aircraft went down just minutes after takeoff this morning. It killed all 176 passengers and crew members on board. No Americans were among the victims. It's unclear what caused the crash. Iran investigators say the crew did not call air traffic controllers about any problems.
The data shows that this airplane completely disappeared at 7,900 feet. That is very suspicious. Only two things could cause that: a bomb or the aircraft being shot down.
The Iranians deny they shot down the jetliner. They say they have recovered the black boxes, but they will not give them to the U.S. authorities or Boeing. To stay on top of the tensions with Iran, you can go to 10news.com, click on the story link.
One of the two suspects accused in the shooting death of an Alpha Project security guard faced a judge today. Johnny Hill pleaded not guilty. He listened as the prosecutor described the moments leading up to the murder of 44-year-old Ernest Buchanan. They say that Hill and his alleged accomplice, Floyd Garrett, waited for Buchanan to arrive at work that day. The victim's brother told 10 News there was no reason for this to happen.
So for anybody to shoot him, he wasn't expecting he had no issues down there. It was good for him.
The judge raised Hill's bail to $10 million. After the attack, police say the other defendant, Garrett, took off to Phoenix, where he was later arrested. He awaits a court hearing next week.
Emotions ran high today at the sentencing for a North County man convicted of causing a fire that killed his two young children.
I am a bored mom. That is my purpose on this earth, is to be a mom. And you took that from me.
A heartbroken, grieving mother, Nakia Lopez, addressed her ex-husband, Henry Lopez. In October of 2017, he fell asleep drunk with a lit cigarette inside his Rancho Bernardo condominium. It caused a major fire that killed 7-year-old Isabella and 10-year-old Christos.
Henry Lopez, do you understand the smell of a burnt body of my 10-year-old baby boy in my hand?
Lopez says he tried to save the children. He was sentenced to 12 years, 8 months in state prison.
A new accuser has come forward claiming a priest in the Diocese of San Diego sexually assaulted her. The woman, only identified as Jane Doe, says it happened decades ago. She says the abuse happened when she was 7 and claims Father Efren Neri raped her in 1958.
Father Neri did come to our home, and he would have dinner with us, and he would pray with us. And that's how I got in the car with him when that occurred.
She says the diocese offered her a compensation for him, but didn't give her any information on Father Neri. The diocese says today no reports have ever been received accusing Father Neri of misconduct with a minor. Father Neri died in 1982.
Tomorrow, County Supervisors Diane Jacob and Nathan Fletcher are taking a stand on vaping. They'll announce their proposal to crack down on the sale and distribution of flavored tobacco and e-cigarettes. They'll also release the latest numbers on vaping-related illnesses in San Diego County. The Board of Supervisors is set to consider vaping restrictions on Tuesday. While the number of illnesses and deaths related to vaping continues to grow, one local school district is now taking legal action. San Diego Unified has filed a lawsuit against Juul, one of the biggest e-cigarette companies. 10 News anchor Lindsay Pena shows us how the company is responding tonight.
San Diego Unified now joins a growing list of other school districts filing suit against Juul. They allege that the company, among other things, is disrupting students' education.
The lawsuit, which was filed earlier this week, is seeking an injunction and abatement to stop what the district calls the e-cigarette epidemic, which has, quote, severely impacted the school district by interfering with normal school operations.
It makes me thankful, yeah, as a teacher and a parent myself, knowing that the more people that can stand up to this industry, the better the battle will be fought.
Terry Clark is a teacher at Patrick Henry High and sees firsthand how vaping is affecting students.
The kids say that the peer pressure is everywhere and it's relentless. And so that leads me to believe that they have the ability to get their hands on it somewhat easily.
According to the lawsuit, the district is also seeking compensation to make up for the financial losses as a result of students being absent from school, coordinating outreach and education programs, and enforcement efforts.
It took years and years for, tobacco to do that type of damage, and this seems to be a whole new type or crop of drug.
10 News reached out to Juul, which issued a statement reading in part, "Our customer base is the world's 1 billion adult smokers, and we do not intend to attract underage users. To the extent these cases allege otherwise, they are without merit."
At this point, it's unclear what the next step in this legal fight will be. Reporting at Patrick Henry High School, Lindsay Pena, 10 News.
All right, turning now to weather. Angelica Campos is tracking possible rain, which could be on the way for tomorrow, too.
That's right. It's been 12 days since we've had rain in the forecast, and that's about to change. A storm quickly moving through Northern California will be diving south and making its way here by tomorrow afternoon. The best chance for rain showers will happen after 2 p.m., and it will continue into the early part of the evening. So there you have it for San Diego, close to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So for afternoon commuters, expected to be wet on the roads, but the rain will be light. Coming up in your 7-day forecast, I'll pinpoint how much rain we can expect around the county and also how cool it's going to be tomorrow.
Thanks, Angelica. The USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier is coming back to San Diego. That's according to Congressman Scott Peters, who tweeted that news today. The aircraft carrier had its home port in San Diego from 2010 till January of last year. It was moved for maintenance, and apparently it will be ready to go in a few months. Congressman Peters says the ship will return August 1st. It has a crew of about 6,000.
And the USS Abraham Lincoln, which played its own role responding to rising tensions with Iran last year, is now one step closer to its new home port here in San Diego. The Navy says the Lincoln arrived today for a visit at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. The crew was supposed to return to San Diego before Halloween last year, but received 4 extensions of its deployment. The Lincoln was in the Middle East when Iran shot down an American drone last June. President Trump threatened a retaliatory strike, but called it off at the last minute.